Hey everyone, it's Indi, and you are tuned into another episode of the As Told by Indi podcast, where these are life lessons learned by me. If you're new, welcome, and if you're an oldie but a goodie, thank you as always for coming back. So, how are you doing? How's your day going? How's your quarter going? It's a lot to unpack, isn't it? Do you have a lot on your mind? Do you have a little on your mind? Is one thing bothering you? That one thing that you haven't stopped thinking about? Believe me, believe me, I'm right there with you. If you're like me, you're constantly thinking of the past, the present, the future, thinking about what was, what is, and what's to come. Although I'd like to say it's our little weapon in disguise, thinking too much or oftentimes overthinking can lead to a very cluttered mind. And when our minds are cluttered, I think we're not really able to think, act, do, and be in that moment or in that phase or in that season that we're in. And this can also mean that we're more than likely letting things pass us by because we're thinking about the what ifs, the buts, the shoulda, coulda, wouldas of life, all those things that can consume our mind. So this spring, I want to challenge both you and I. I want to challenge you to declutter your mind. And what I mean by that is this: clear your mind of all the things that you associate with the word can't or with connotations that are anything other than positive. And replace those things with things that you can do to settle your mind so that you feel like you can or you can handle whatever that thing is that's been cluttering your mind. And I have a few practical ways that I want to share with you all that have personally helped me, that I literally do on a daily, weekly, and monthly basis. And it's part of the work that I've had to do. So the first thing you can do, that I definitely encourage this, is write it out. Take a pen and a journal, or if you're technologically savvy, take time to do a digital journal and write everything down. I don't care if it takes you 20 minutes. I don't care if it takes you an hour. But the point is this: get it all out of your head. I have personally experienced that when I'm in my head too much about something, 9 times out of 10, when I get it out on paper, the situation either isn't as big of a deal as I thought it was, or I gain clarity and I can move forward with what to do. I also do believe that there's this something about seeing your own thoughts on paper or digital e-paper that does something for your mental space. It's like you're physically clearing out a room that's in your brain or in your mind, if you will, to make room for what you actually need to see. And that's just like when you clean your house. Like when you clean your house, don't you feel better? Same concept with as when you write down things and you literally clear out that mental space. So write down every thought, write down every dream, every fear, every passion, every ambition. Get it all out of your head so it doesn't fill up your brain space with that anxiety, that pressure, that anything that you associated that's negatively connotated in your mind about the past, present, or future. The second thing I want to encourage you to do is to go outside. Physically go outside, and not like we outside, go hanging out. I mean, actually just walk around your neighborhood. And I know this sounds extremely elementary, but I'm a bit of a nerd. So of course I'm going to give y'all some psychology in there and all that good stuff. But studies have really shown that connecting with nature can actually increase your vitamin D intake, improve your mood, and lower anxiety and stress. So quite literally, just going outside, being one with nature, using your senses, it literally makes your brain metaphysically, I think that's a word, yeah, metaphysically feel better. And so I actually do this a lot of times during my lunchtime or after dinner, and I literally just let the breeze fill my fingertips, fill my body, and just literally my nostrils breathing in fresh air is always great, especially for my folks who work hybrid, they work from home or they're in an office setting all the time. Go outside during your lunch break. Even listen to this podcast when you're literally outside. Get away from everything, get away from the screens, get away from your phone, do all those things. do one of my favorite things, which is put your phone on do not disturb. So nobody can bother you while you're one with yourself and you're one with your mind and your thoughts, so you can filter them properly. It's also something you can do in community with others. So if you use something like meetup.com, like that's really good. That's a really good way to find other people who want to go outside and get that clarity and all that good stuff. So I would definitely say go outside. It's free. It's free, guys, and it works. The last thing I want to encourage you to do, and this isn't really the last thing, it's just because I like to keep my episodes, pretty concise, um, is to feel the emotions that you need to actually feel. Now, I do want to say this because I'm a little bit biased when it comes to this one because I love a good cry. I always feel better after I cry. But this is also because built up emotion is not good for our bodies or our brains. You will not only start to feel the emotions welling up inside of you, but you will physically feel your body start to not function properly because of this. I actually went through this in like the past 6 months. I went through this where I tried to hold in my emotions for so long that my body started to get lazy. I wanted to be in the bed and I started to build an unhealthy shell around me. And quite literally, I was not allowing myself to healthily process those emotions. And more importantly, not feel ashamed for being emotional, because I think a lot of times um, we think that not showing emotions or masking emotions as something else is a version of strength. And I think that's like total BS. And I think that's totally a myth. I'm actually going to steal a line from what my therapist told me about emotions. And she told me about this, I don't even want to say prophetically, but she told me about this before I knew I would need it, because she told me this actually like a year ago and I just used this like 6 months ago. So pro tip, go to therapy, guys. You never know when you're going to need it. But anyways, I'm going to steal a line from what my therapist told me about emotions. She told me that emotions are given to us so that we learn and understand how to process things that happen in our life. They're not inherently bad, but they're actually the tools that are needed for us to live and experience the human life or the human experience. So it's okay to feel what you need to feel as you process through life's events. And that right there did so much for me literally after she said it. Because again, like I said, she told me this like a year and a half ago, and I'm just not using it, but it's one of those tools that was in my back pocket, but I had to clear my own mind to make sure I used that tool in the tool shed. Like I said, I think a lot of times we feel like we can't express our true emotions. So allowing yourself to actually feel the emotions that you actually feel instead of covering them up as something else, that's where the strength comes from. That's where the resilience comes from. Because when we express those emotions, that's where the work is done, and outcomes, that's where the outcomes truly lie. Believe me. Oh, believe me. Because I don't say anything that I haven't experienced, okay? So yeah, that's all for this episode. If you have any tips that you want to mention in the comment section on ways to declutter your mind, please let me know in the comment section. I would love to start the conversation around proactively using our minds for the different seasons in our lives. I think that's super, super important. And so let me know in the comments what your thoughts are and what your takeaways are from this episode. Remember to be kind to yourself throughout this thing we call life, and I'll see y'all in the next episode.